Today we're going to be looking at solving single cube root equations. What that means is there's a cube root expression in it and there's only one of them. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So let's take a look at this example. We have -3 plus the cube root of 2x plus 7. All of that equal to 0. Again, this is a single cube root equation because there's only one cube root expression in it. If there's more than one, that's a whole nother set of steps we would follow. So anyway, let's do these steps. We're going to get the right answer. Step 1, we're going to move anything that is not a cube root expression to one side. Doesn't matter which side you move it to. You could actually keep it on this -3, for example. You could keep on the left and move the cube root on the right. But for convention's sake, I would say keep the cube root on the left, move the other thing to the right. Now the other thing might not be a constant number, right? It could be an x, it could be an x squared or something. You would still move it over to the other side away from your cube root expression. So in this case, we're going to add 3 to both sides, and I can even do that here just so you can see that. Alright, so now we have cube root of 2x plus 7 equals 3. That has finished our first step of moving that to the other side of the equation. Step 2 is to move the radical expression to the other side. So again, I would say just move it to the left. It's already moved. So I'm just going to put a check mark there and move on to the next step. Step 3 is to cube both sides. So why would we cube both sides? Well, that's to get rid of that cube root. And that's actually why we moved that 3 to the other side, because had we not, we would have had a big mess trying to cube that whole thing, right? But if we get the cube root expression by itself, when we cube that, it would just cancel it out, right? And of course, if we cube the left, we have to cube the right. And so now that cube has canceled the cube root, we have 2x plus 7 equals 3 cubed, which is 27. So I have this kind of highlighted and say it's linear. Yeah, it's a linear equation now, right? Because it's just has an x in it, not an x squared or anything. So you can see how simple it becomes once you cube both sides. Not always. I mean, sometimes you end up with a quadratic and you'd have to solve that. Something we've already went over. Step 4, solve for the unknown. So up until this point, there's a lot of different types of equations. If we get to this point and you figure out how to do some kind of equation, then you need to go back and watch a video on that, whether it's solving quadratics or whatever. In this case, it's easy. You're just going to subtract 7 from both sides, divide both sides by 2. You get x equals 10. What I was showing some students over here, this is kind of off topic, but you can't take the square root of a negative, but you can take the cube root of a negative. Something to keep in mind in the future. There is another step you could do here. You could take that 10, plug it back into the equation to make sure it works. You'd have -3 plus the cube root of 27, which is +3, and indeed that does equal 0. Anyway, I'm not going to keep any longer. That's it for the first example of solving single cube root equations. If you have any other questions about this, let me know.